I thought it was really interesting to watch the film and especially your performance because if I just told someone what the movie is, right, and I said you're in it, I think for some people it doesn't immediately click, right? Because I think you very much pick things that are, I think only Michael could do, or I know Michael's interested in that. And it sounds like a role a lot of people could play, but then you watch and you go, oh, this is really a Michael Shannon role.
Well, gosh, I'm flattered by that. I mean, when I think about Robert Jackson and what he accomplished in his lifetime, what I've pulled off or managed to pull off up until this point seems slightly insignificant. But just to even get the privilege of representing him on screen was a great honor to me.
Oh yeah, and to play a character that feels like a character, right? I think easily when you have a whenever someone plays a great man, I think if you're an actor, the fear is like I'm just gonna present this great man without like the man part, right? Just you're gonna focus on the great. And I think you do a great job of he had a sense of humor. He had a confidence that was clearly there, and that's how you get to the point you're at, but it wasn't cockiness. It felt like you were watching a person. And I think that's why it's such a full-bodied performance, right? Because it's such a person you're watching, not a great man.
One of the things I learned in my research is that Robert Jackson never finished law school. So, as brilliant a legal mind as he had some blind spots, um, and one of them was actually in the court. Like he could sit around and contemplate a case, you know, which is why he was so wonderfully suited to the Supreme Court as a justice. But actually prosecuting was could be a slippery slope for him. But yeah, he never claimed to be invincible, but he certainly was brave to insist on these trials, despite a lot of opposition.
And I think you play it so well. I think in the courtroom there's a scene where you can see there's like a he's not puzzled, but he's stumped for like a quick second. And I think a lot of actors would play that as like a tragic moment. I think you play it as like this has happened before. It's
Yeah.
not this time I can do this. Hang on, hang on. And I think it shows like the man. Like I think we all want people in power, people who are making great decisions to be people who are can think of what actual people are going through as opposed to, someone, far removed from the world that we live in. And, that's a thing that actors have to go through, right? You want to still be a part of the world, even though you recognize that the world for you is different than the world for a guy who's, breaking rocks on the side of the road.
Well, I think you could say the same of Supreme Court justices.
Very
So
much
you
so.
would hope that they don't forget where they come from or who they're supposed to be representing. Yeah, but it's very important, I think, in both instances to have a sense of humility because if you think you know everything, then you're not going to learn anything else.
Oh yeah, I think no matter what you like, when you're a kid and you have a teacher that you like, right? You obviously know they know more than you do, but you're taken usually by their curiosity about the world or the questions they ask, not the facts they tell you. And I think that's what you want out of a lawyer. You want someone who's going to explore, not lecture, essentially.
And not take anything for granted.
Oh yeah, especially a thing like that where you almost couldn't have higher stakes, right? You get that wrong, and it's a personal failing, obviously, but it's also a like moral and global failing, and
Yeah.
that's a thing that I think you see all the characters in the film have. They do such a good job of showing like we are all in service of something bigger and we all have our part to play, but it doesn't work if everyone else isn't doing their part because if we fail, this will happen again.
Right.
Which, maybe we're not doing the best job of currently, but go figure this movie when you made it maybe wasn't as timely as it is now.
Well, it's funny. People ask Jamie, you made this movie now for a reason, right? And he said, well, actually, I started writing this movie 13 years ago. So, um, it's kind of crept into being increasingly relevant as he's been trying to make it.
it also I think would be different if you started writing it today. I think it's probably an angrier movie. It's less focused on characters because I think every sentence has to be about Nazis are bad. Remember that. Like, why are you remembering they're bad? Like, nobody likes them. Why do you like, you know? And I
Yeah.
think that's a movie. Like, it is it's an entertaining movie, which is a thing that a lot of people forget when it's an important movie, right? You watch any of the movies we grew up on that were important, right? And we're seen as like, oh, you have to watch this. If it
Yeah.
was good, it was also entertaining.
Right. Well, I know Jamie used as a reference, he would always talk about films like, JFK or Glory or that films that are historical period dramas can actually be some of the most exciting films to watch. I don't know why they're stigmatized with this. Oh no. I guess it's because and I had this experience as a kid, being in a history class can be kind of a snooze, but I think all the most interesting, captivating stories are drawn from history.
Oh yeah, I was very similar. I would, you if you were reading the textbook and they were talking about whatever, you'd flip forward and find the thing that was interesting to you, and then you're reading, but you're not reading the thing they're teaching. You're like, oh, I'm on World War II, where you're talking about whatever, just because I can comprehend in a way that makes it interesting, and now I'm in, right?
Right.
And good movie can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what my hope is that if people when they see the movie, if they see the movie and they're intrigued, that they continue to do reading. There's a lot to learn about Robert Jackson. He did a lot of other things besides this, and it's definitely worth investigating.
Oh, it's crazy if you look up even Wikipedia, which, maybe not the best source in the world to use, but like it's there and we all accept it. This is like not even the big part, right? It's considered like one of the things he did. It's like talking about you and being like, oh, and then he made 99 homes. Like, yeah, there's a good thing I did. It's a real good thing I did. I got 10 other things to talk about. Oh, okay, we're talking about that. Like, it's a really interesting thing to know that this was a guy who lived an incredibly full life, and like you said, wasn't bred for this. Essentially, just it came to him in a way,
Yeah.
and
He
that's
never forgot where he came from.
which is all too rare, and I think is one of the reasons that this works as a performance from you, because I think you know, one of the things that people like about you, among many, is that you're always looking at a person who wants to be there, right? If you didn't want to be there, I think we would know as a general rule.
Right.
There would be a lack of engagement because I think a Michael Shannon performance is a specific performance, and when you read something, I can do it and I can do it my way, and I think that really fits Robert Jackson in a way. He saw the Supreme Court as a thing he could do his way, as
Right.
opposed to, oh, it would be glorious to be there. Even when they talk about the Chief Justice element, you can tell that I'd like it, but also it's maybe not like the thing I'm meant to be doing with my time.
Right. Yeah, he was a maverick. But
Yeah.
that's who I want up there. I don't want people up there in the Supreme Court are just worried about their own position.
Oh yeah, the more you hear about, when you're younger, you think about all these people, and whether it's a president, whether it's a politician, they must be amazing because how else do you get there? You don't know better, right? And then you start to learn about like, well, being rich helps. That's a good start. That'll get you a lot of places in life, and
Yeah.
only breaks down all those walls. And I think when you can look back in history and be like, there were people who weren't that way. There were people who
Yeah.
just did what they thought was the right thing, and sometimes that was the easy thing, oftentimes it wasn't, and that's heartening an era where no matter what, whether someone is actually doing the right thing or they're even just saying they are, the first response from people is, well, they must be evil, right? Why are they lying to us? And that's part of the reason why every election is the ugliest election we've ever had.
Yeah.
It's I'm sitting in Brooklyn and I'm looking out the window and it's raining and it's crappy out. I'm just like, well, that fits the mood of like everything I read in the last couple of weeks. It's kind of, how else could it be? But it's nice to, I watched the movie last night and you go, well, there was a time where everyone just could put aside a lot of that shit and go, there is a more important thing, and it's making sure we don't have a third fight with the Nazis, or a second fight, or a fifth, or now, an ongoing fight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The sense of responsibility, and yeah, and concern, just being. I think a lot of people nowadays are, and maybe the reason things are the way they are is people are more concerned about their own immediate situation, like their own surroundings, and
And
less
yeah,
less thinking about, civilization as a whole. Yeah.
it's a human element, right? It happens. We all do that. If you get a job offer, you do ask what it pays, right? You're not going to go like, yeah, I'll find out when I get there. You do want to know like rent will be paid and I can eat. But
Right.
yeah, there's a greater good, or even just like a thinking about the world thing that I think is a lot harder to wrap your head around these days for a lot of people. Just because if you don't take care of your own, you get nothing, right? And that's understandable. But if everyone just worries about themselves, in 1930s Germany happens.
Exactly.
I'm willing to go on the record and say I'd rather that not happen again. I'm very anti-that, willing to make that stand.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, now we're on a list, so I hope you're happy about that.
Don't care.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. It's thrilling, especially when it's in something like this, where I can legitimately say I've never seen you do this before, but also I can tell that it's clearly a thing that like I can't believe I've never seen you do before.
Thanks, Joe.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I can't wait to do it again, and I again can't wait for you to direct again.
Oh yeah, I'll get around to it. Just
Yeah,
got to find a script.
yeah. I'll just bother you every couple years about it, and it'll happen. Awesome, man. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks.